everyone, it's Latrice here at Sterling Law Offices, and today I am with a great expert that all of you will be learning some wonderful information from. I'm with Debra Melvin of Investors Advisory Group.
Hi there.
And I've known Debra for years, and I've always known her passion, which is really helping families, and particularly women, with investments and advising them when they're going through the transition of divorce so that they come up with the best financial plan for their future.
Exactly.
Taking what they have now and building on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Debra's been in this industry for 18 years, and she's had or worked in her own company for the last 10.
Yep, my own practice for 10 years now. Yep.
So you'll really get a chance to see Debra's passion, but we're going to get today to the questions that we hear, I hear from my clients most often here at Sterling Law Offices. And most of these questions are introductory just to get your taste buds going about a lot of these financial issues. Now, if you hear a lot of things today that you like, I'm going to give you Debra's contact information in the box below this video so that you can reach out to her directly. But she knows everything and you have opinions on cryptocurrency, which we're not talking about today.
Talk about that today.
That's in your private meeting with Debra.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get started with these questions today, when you have follow-up, Debra can help you and sit down with you to create your own guide, and that's really what she does best.
Exactly.
But I just want to make sure that those of you out there who are worrying about this get some good tips. So we're going to start off now. We get clients coming in with various different types of retirement savings.
Sure.
Either they're starting off small or they have a large lump sum. But a lot of people either need to start or come up with a new plan for saving for retirement.
Yes.
So what tips would you give someone who is now ready to start saving for retirement?
Sure. The first thing you should really do when you get paid is pay yourself. This is your retirement contribution. Don't wait for debt to be paid off. Start today. Even if it's just 5% of your paycheck, start today. Make sure that you're investing in the right areas, right? If you're 25 years old and investing like a 95-year-old, you're likely not going to be able to retire when you want to.
Okay. And you could kind of advise them on, what a 25 should be investing in rather than a 95-year-old.
Exactly. How much and where should you be placing those funds?
Okay.
Exactly.
I get this question often because a lot of people, as they start thinking and going through divorce, start worrying about will they ever be able to retire? Because when they start taking the joint funds and all the assets that they accumulated together and start thinking about living life separately, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, how much will I need for retirement?
Good question. I get that one a lot too. The answer is it depends. Start by looking at what retirement looks like for you. When do you want it to start? How much do you really want to spend in retirement? Do you want a lifestyle that's similar to your current lifestyle? Or might you travel more in retirement? So really start thinking about what you want to do in retirement. Once you've answered those questions, a financial planner can help create a customized plan for you to help you reach those goals.
And I think from the experience of talking with clients, I think a lot of people don't understand that you can create a customized plan. You can give people options.
Right.
So they don't have to have the same lifestyle. If say they just want a flashier lifestyle and don't want to be as frugal as, say, their parents are. I think sometimes people don't want that same lifestyle. You can still show them how they can do that.
Exactly. We might see somebody who's very frugal in retirement, and we might see somebody who wants to go on big vacations, every other month. Everyone's situation is different, and if you're creating your own plan, then you need to know what you have to save to reach those goals.
Awesome. Going through divorce, a lot of times families are looking at one thing that they haven't looked at in a long time. And it's a scary word. It's called a budget.
Yes,
it's scary even for me.
Right.
So, how do you start off with? First of all, you have to have some gumption to want to take out your monthly bills and start looking at them. But what are some tips if you're starting to save or starting to figure out a new budget?
This is oftentimes step number one in the financial planning process. I would say first and foremost, track your spending. Everybody spends more than they think they do, so track your spending. There are really neat apps out there today. Every Dollar is one of them.
Every Dollar?
Every Dollar. You could do something like that or a spreadsheet on your own, but track your spending.
Okay.
And I would say when doing your budget, always pay yourself first. Set aside your retirement and savings first, and the rest is spendable.
That's great. Great point. Because when I
Thanks.
start my budget and I'm looking at all the bills, I get started off with a more positive thought
Right,
of paying
right.
myself.
Saving for the future is exciting.
Awesome.
Good point.
So sometimes we do have some debts,
Sure.
and people shouldn't be embarrassed by that. But what would you suggest a person do to start getting rid of debt?
So first you want to look at interest rates.
Okay.
So let's say you have some credit card debt. Go look up the cards and find out what interest rates does each card have associated with it. You want to pay off things with the highest interest rate first, right?
Okay.
That's your more expensive money. There's good debt and bad debt. And I run into this a lot. Strive to pay off the credit card fast, not your mortgage.
Okay.
Okay. If your debt's excessive, start eliminating things like cable, dining out, if it's excessive.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're going through divorce and you're coming up with a new budget, which we just talked about how to start looking at that, and then you're paying off debts and you're starting a plan for retirement.
Right, right.
A lot of people then start thinking about, can I keep my home?
Yes.
So when do you recommend, or do you recommend that someone keep the marital residence?
It really depends. If there are a lot of retirement assets to be divided, it might be okay to keep the marital home. If you have to give up a significant amount of the retirement assets, then it's likely not the smartest financial decision. You might put yourself in a situation where you have to save so much for retirement to catch back up that you won't be able to afford to keep the home. So it really depends on how much other retirement assets there are to divide.
Okay. And then a lot of times people have to then do besides the emotional thing of, should I keep the home?
Yeah.
Is the second question, again, if we're looking at budgets and debts, can you afford to?
Yes.
How do you figure out, can a
Okay.
person afford to keep the home?
So we as financial planners say that while you might be approved for the mortgage and technically you can keep the home, a good rule of thumb is really not to have your mortgage payment be more than 20% of your take-home pay. Okay, especially when going through a divorce, a lot of changes. You don't want to be in a position where half or 40% of your take-home pay is spent on your home. So we prefer 20%.
Okay, I'll have to let my clients know that one.
A lot of people don't like that one, but yes.
Because, generally people are living in a home where they have two incomes and they really like the home. They do have some equity built into it, so they can refinance.
Right.
But I'm not sure if they're always at that 20%. So
Right.
I think that's a good number for people to start figuring out. I think sometimes I've heard more clients talk about 30%. But 20% is probably...
And that might work based on their financial plan, and we can figure that out once we do their financial plan, but we feel a little safer with 20.
Okay. Sounds good. So the next thing that sometimes people get embarrassed by this question because they are afraid to ask it themselves. So I'm going to ask it for everyone.
Yes.
What is the difference between a 401k, an IRA, an annuity, and a pension?
Great question, and most people probably don't know the answer to this.
Okay.
Think of a 401k as a savings plan offered through your employer. So any money you put into that 401k plan is tax deductible. It grows tax deferred, meaning no taxes are paid on that money until you take it out of the 401k. An IRA has some similar traits. This is often an investment vehicle people use when they leave an employer, right?
Okay.
Many people choose an IRA because they want active investment advice, and there are more investment choices than might be available in their 401k. Okay. A pension is really simply a promise from your employer to pay you income during your retirement years. So you're relying on the company. An annuity, I say think of an annuity like creating your own pension. So it's an investment vehicle that you purchase, and that vehicle will pay you a fixed payment every year. So like creating your own pension.
Yeah, that's great. I think most people have an idea of what they have. what they are offered through the employer. I think the confusion come in normally if it's someone else's, their spouse's employer plan.
Right.
Because then I
right.
think the terminology, like if it's then we start talking about defined contribution plans, if people not start getting what that all means.
There are different names for each of these, and
Right.
Yes, that's true. It makes
So,
it more complicated.
You can definitely help them with looking at statements as to what it actually is.
Yeah, and just educating people. Yeah, what is this investment, and what does it mean for me?
Okay. I actually have personal experience from listening to my sister-in-law. She got advice from her hairdresser on how to invest.
Oh.
So this next question made me laugh because she started working out of state for a county, and her hairdresser told her never to invest in stocks and bonds because she had a bad experience with stocks and bonds.
Okay, rule number 1, don't take investment advice from your hairdresser, right?
She did.
Take hair advice, but not...
So, I'm going to have you answer the question,
Okay.
and I'm going to point her to this video.
Okay.
Is it better to own stocks or bonds?
Good question. Depending on your age and how comfortable you are with risk, you're probably going to own both of them, right?
Okay.
You'll likely own a combination of the two. Neither is really better than the other. They're just different risk profiles associated with each. So let's say you're 40 years old. You might own a portfolio with 80% stock, 20% bond. Then as you get closer to retirement, let's say around 60 years old, that might shift to only 60% stock and 40% bond. So
Okay.
both are important in your portfolio. It depends on your risk level.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, for those of you out there who want to start planning for another very expensive endeavor,
Yes.
but this one involving your children, called
Yes.
college,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people have heard about 529 plans.
Yes.
So, what is the 529 plan, and is this the right vehicle to save for kids' college
Yes.
expenses?
Good question. So a 529 plan is something that's sponsored by your state, and it's a way to make tax deductible contributions. Okay, so you get to deduct that from your taxes, and then all earnings are tax-free if they're used for what they call qualified education expenses. So it is a great tool. It helps you save on taxes and save in a tax-free manner. One neat thing that the plans offer is age-based portfolios. So when your child is very young, they might start out really aggressive and get more conservative as you get closer to college age. Another really neat feature of these plans is anyone can make a contribution. And so they even have these little cards you can hand out to your family members so people know it exists, and it's a great birthday present.
Oh.
So yeah, a great tool for saving for college.
And so in Wisconsin, it's EdVest.
Yes.
One of them. Okay.
There's 2 different ones, but that's one of them, yes. There's
Okay.
Tomorrow Scholar
Oh,
as
Tomorrow
well.
Scholars. Okay.
Both, yes.
So both you can get a card and
Yeah,
let everyone know.
let everybody know.
That's awesome.
Grandma and Grandpa, and yeah.
I have one of those for both my kids, but I didn't know about you giving that
Yeah.
information out. That's a great
Yes, give
tip.
it out.
No need for the 5th Lego set.
No. Exactly.
Well, thank you, Debra.
Thank you for having me,
this.
Latrice.
This is awesome.
Great.
I will again give you Debra's information below on this video, but if you need to get in touch with her, and I've included it below, but here's her website, www.investorsadvisory.com/CDFA-for-women. But I will include that below. And I'll see you guys next time. And let us know if there's any other questions you have that me and Debra can ever answer in the future, and we'll try to put that in a future blog post. See you guys next time.
Bye.